Welcome to another edition of Finished First. I'm Judge Dawson, and I am honored that you tuned in, even if you didn't want to. Some of these programs are spread throughout the nation, throughout the world, but then some of them are required from my court. But all of them are aimed at giving you tools at being the best that you can be, and most importantly, how to avoid this legal matrix. Now, there are some situations that you can't avoid. There are some stops that will happen, some police stops. There are some situations that will cause you to have a negative impact or a negative interaction with the legal system. But the majority of situations can be controlled if you implement a few tools. One of the tools we talk about is the ability to be a cycle breaker. A cycle breaker is a person who is dead set and committed to breaking some type of cycle in their life. It could be the fact that nobody in your family graduated from college and now you want to break that cycle. It could be that you've been smoking and you've noticed that it's caused cancer or other situations in your family and you want to change that. It could be something like domestic violence has been rampant throughout your history and you grew up with that happening in your home and now you want to do something different. It doesn't matter what the cycle is. If it's something negative, we want to try to break it. And that's one of the tools to avoid this legal matrix. So, what are the steps of being a cycle breaker? Well, the first step is you have to recognize the need for change. What is it in your life that needs to change? Again, is it a situation? Is it a circumstance? Is it your environment? Once you identify what you need to change, you are on the road to being a cycle breaker. Step number 2. Once you recognize that you need to change something, now you have to commit to making the change. It's not enough to say, you know what, I know I need to change, or I know I need to stop smoking, or I know I should, not mess up my probation or parole or whatever the situation is, the relationship. It's enough to say that, right? It's okay to say that. But then now we have to be committed to making the change. So commitment is the second step of being a cycle breaker. Number 3, once you've committed to it, now you have to get the tools that are necessary to make the change. You know what you need to accomplish your goals. And if you don't, that's even more of a reason why you need to connect with those who have the tools. So maybe the tool for you is a personal trainer. Maybe the tool for you is a mentor, or maybe it's just simply a book that you can study to get some new skills. But the bottom line is that if you want to break cycles, you need to have the tools to be able to break those cycles. And then number 4, after you've gathered the tools, now you have to stay in the game when the going gets hard. Like when you are pressed against the wall, all the pressure's coming at you. Your bills are piling up. The peer pressure is piling up. And you want to quit. You want to go in a different direction. That's when the grit is important. You have to stay in the game. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, it gets hard. There have been times in my life when I wanted to quit at various things. There have been times in my life when I said, you know what, I just want to move away to an island because I'm tired. But that's when cycle breakers gear down, put on the seatbelt, and continue to go. And here's one secret that I've employed throughout my life is that if you keep going one step at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time, you will make it. So we're talking about being a cycle breaker. Number 1, recognize the need for change. Number 2, commit to making that change. Number 3, get the tools that are necessary. Associate with the right people. Gather the right people in your life. Number 4, you have to then stay in the game when the going gets hard, because we all want to quit sometimes. We all get heavy sometimes, but you got to keep going. Those are the tools of being a cycle breaker. All right, so we know the tools of being a cycle breaker. Let's talk about them. Here is one. I like to use the analogy of a tree and a seed. Now, we've talked about seeds and how important they are and what you plant will grow. We've talked about how your environment is important to the seed that is a part of your DNA. Like, you are meant to be a certain type of person. You are meant to be positive. You are meant to have life, to have love. I mean, that's a bottom line. Love and life. That is for you, or you wouldn't be here. But then everything else that occurs in a human being is based on you and your environment and what you teach yourself or you are taught. Bottom line. We all have the same capacity. We may have different starting lines. We may have different environments, but the key is we can be whatever we want to be if we employ several tools. So we're talking about seeds, we're talking about your DNA, we're talking about your environment. Now let's talk about the process of growth. Because once you plant a seed, once it's in the right environment, now we have to begin to cultivate the seed so it can grow into the prosperous tree that it's supposed to be. And if you look at a tree, you have the roots of a tree that go down and they go deep and they go wide. Then you have the trunk of the tree, that powerful trunk of the tree that builds out and upward. And then the branches of the tree, well, they have the effect on the world, right? The leaves grow from the branches. The leaves provide oxygen and moisture and all those great things that keep us alive. Well, it's similar to what's happening inside of us. You know, we have the roots that are able to grow. It's part of your brain. It's part of your DNA. It's the energy behind your life. Now, some roots are better than others just based on life, right? Some people have all types of challenges and there's nothing wrong with it. You know, you may have been labeled with, the attention disorder. You may be labeled with some type of, illness or something like that, but it doesn't change the fact that you are special. Because if you weren't special, you wouldn't be here. So don't allow someone's label to change your greatness. Don't allow someone's description of you to change what you know is deep inside of you, because you are born with the ability to be the best that you can be. Again, it starts with love. It starts with life. And from there, you can grow to anything you want to be. And I'm not even talking financial and materialistic, because those things really don't matter at the end of the day. They do not matter. What matters is the love and the life that you live and the way that you express it and how you leave it for others. That's your legacy. So we're talking about the tree and how the tree will grow and what's inside the tree. Well, we have the roots that go down, and we have your brain that is similar to the roots because it goes deep within you. It carries the DNA. It carries the message of your growth. But see, the message for today is that while the roots are growing, it's dangerous, right? Because they're breaking through the ground. They're expanding over dirt and over all types of minerals that are deep down the ground. Think about it. If you've ever tried to dig a hole, have you noticed how hard it is? How challenging it is? Because the ground is stubborn. It doesn't want to be broken into. So imagine a tree that starts out as a little bitty seed, and all of a sudden it has these roots that are growing, but it has the ability to penetrate the ground. You have that same ability inside of you. There's nothing that you cannot change or penetrate or become, because the DNA inside of you is so strong. But it takes grit and it takes patience. Grit meaning you're not going to give up. No matter what they say about you, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how many times you get set back, you only have one life to live. So you're going to live it to the fullest and you're not going to give up. That's one. And number two, the patience that's necessary. You have to just have that confidence, or we call it faith, that the DNA is going to do what it's supposed to do. So no matter how hard it is, the roots are going to go through the ground because that's what the Creator intended. There's no way to stop it. There is no way to stop the seed from growing, from penetrating the ground and becoming the tree. The same is with you. There's no way to stop what God has intended for you. There's no way to stop the growth that will come out of your life because your DNA demands it. There's only one thing that can stop it, and that's you and how you approach life and what you do. But today we're talking about being patient. We're talking about having the grit to hang in there through all of your challenges. So don't let life bog you down. Know that you can become what you want to become, because you're going to be a tree, but you have to be patient, because we're talking about the fact that just because you're planted Doesn't mean you're going to grow as a human being, right? Because we know, unlike a tree, our environment is so important, and our environment can be way more toxic than that of the tree. You know, you put a seed in the ground, and there's some things it has to deal with. You know, there's some haters. We'll talk about that later. But the environment is not as toxic as it is in our world. We have it times 10. So we have to be more diligent in being patient with our growth, staying the course in our patience, staying the course in our grit so that we become what we are intended to become. And that is powerful and amazing, and to leave a legacy on this world so that when you move on, it's a better place. So ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about being cycle breakers. And today I wanted to hit on the fact that as your tree is growing into what you are supposed to be, there will be challenges, there will be setbacks. Hey, if you're in a court, there will be fines, there will be costs, you may be on probation. If you're in relationships, there will be heartache, there will be broken hearts, there will be divorces and separations, because that's the world we live in. If you have children, there will be disappointments, there will be accidents. But the key is, if you keep going and if you have patience and grit and belief, that faith in what you are supposed to be, and most importantly, what you can be, you will make it. So ladies and gentlemen, that's my short talk for today. I want you to continue to move down this road with me on being a cycle breaker. We're talking about building from the ground up. We're talking about becoming a seed, and then that seed becoming the tree. We're talking about you living your best life, and that's what cycle breakers can do. So until next time, continue to be the best you can be. Keep that grit, that fight. Don't give up, and be patient on your journey to growth.